First of all, we want to once again thank Brother Kazim Ahmed, Imam Kazim Ahmed, for very beautiful words said about the man who is sitting right here behind us. So let's give him another round of applause. Thank him. Allah Akbar. I'm not going to say anything because he's here, the man who you want to hear from. I want to say just one word, and that's something that I drew from his very beautiful delivery at the Jummah Prayer Friday. And that's in our prayers. There's the 20th chapter of the Holy Qur'an, Taha, which mentions prayer, you know, praying early in the morning and the spiritual joy from prayer. And many of us go to prayer, but in our prayers we should pray to Allah to bless the leadership of this community. Pray to Allah to bless the Muslims in this community and bless us with the strength, the power, the perseverance, the patience that it takes to move this community forward. Ask Allah to bless us that we will be helpers and not burdens to the Honorable Wallace D. Mohammed. And as we go to prayer, many times we have personal problems. And in our prayer we ask Allah, oh Allah, bless me with this, give me that, help me with this, help me with that. But if you just think about helping yourself, think about yourself as a part of a whole community. And when we rise early in the morning or say that prayer in the evening, then ask Allah, oh Allah, bless the Honorable Wallace D. Mohammed. Bless his leadership in this community. Bless the Muslim community that we can come together as one behind his dynamic leadership. So on that, that's all I want to say. Let us hear from the Honorable Wallace D. Mohammed, the Chief Imam of the Nation of Islam. Takbir! 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 Takbir!
Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. In the name of Almighty God, the most gracious, most merciful, Ashhadu an la ilaha illallah wahda la sharika lah. I give open testimony that there is nothing worthy of worship but Allah, and there is nothing like unto Him. Wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu. And I bear witness openly that Muhammad is his slave servant and his messenger. Dear beloved people, brothers and sisters Muslims, assalamu alaikum. If you'll just give me a few moments to get myself together here. I really enjoyed listening to Brother Imam Qasim Ahmed. He's a beautiful brother, and he's got a understanding on the teaching. So that's all right. See, when you got C understanding, you're not doing too bad, but he has A understanding. To all the believers and our friends out there in our big audience, today we're speaking nationwide, to the East Coast, West Coast, North, South. I pray Allah that He'll bless us today to come closer to truth and to gain more strength to stay in that truth. You're a beautiful sight out there. I don't know why people like to collect themselves according to physical description and physical color. They look much better when you just mix them all up. Black, brown, red, and yellow. I even see some so-called white out there. And I mean you, I see some of you. Your skin is so-called white. Your hair didn't make it, but your skin did. Right. praise due to Allah. I didn't greet my sisters over here yet. Excuse me. Assalamu alaikum. And my brother. Assalamu alaikum. You know, things are happening so fast nowadays. It's got us almost hypnotized. We're not conscious of exactly what's taking place. The reverend of a church, and I mean intelligent reverend, very intelligent reverend, dignified man, sizable congregation, sent me word that he wants me to give him a name that's not a slave name. God is greatest. Allahu Akbar. Now, first I want to make a few comments on, I have a few words to say about our movement. And when I say movement, I don't mean it in the sense, in the common sense. I mean it in the religious sense. Something on the move. That's what I mean by movement. And afterward, I hope to talk with you on the religion. We have made big changes in this community. We've even changed the name that was given to this community by its founder and first teacher, Master Mohammed. He named this community the Lost Found Nation of Islam in North America. That was the first name given to this community. Lost Found Nation of Islam in the wilderness of North America. Now, what did he mean by wilderness? You know, this place wasn't a jungle, not that kind of jungle that we read about in the fictitious life of Tarzan or something, you know. But by wilderness, he meant that the divine message hadn't been cultivated in this part of the world. It was left unattended. People were in religion, but the divine teachings were neglected. So it was a wilderness. The people were practicing things that were very, very far away from their religion that they professed. Christians in America were practicing race hatred, discrimination, practicing savagery, brutal, cruel savagery against a materially and politically and financially weak people called so-called Negroes. So it was indeed a wilderness. We can't deny that. When we look at the moral nature and life of America, when Master Muhammad came in 1930, it was indeed a wilderness. There were people with degrees just like they have degrees now in all the sciences, human sciences, physical sciences. There were people preaching the religion just as they're preaching it now. Catholics, Protestants, all the groups. But the society, its pulse and atmosphere was that of a jungle, a wilderness, where everything had to fight for its own life if it didn't belong to the strong species. The mighty species was devouring all the others. And he also said that we were lost and found. By that he meant that we came from a people who were Muslims. Now we've been made to believe that we came from African ancestors who were all witch doctors. And every now and then someone would get a little education and would learn that Ethiopians are also so-called Negroes, are black, and say, well, Africans are Christians and witch doctors. But the fact of history tells us that the great nations of Africa, at least in the late history, the middle history and late history of that country, were Muslims and are Muslims today. Sudan used to be Mali, Shanghai. These were great empires of black people. And they were Muslim empires. I have talked with students of so-called black studies. And they be telling me about the great Shanghai and the great this and the great that. I said to myself, these people are talking about Muslims and don't know it. They were talking like they were witch doctors, you know, who happened to learn how to use a square and a compass. They were Muslims. Islam can be called, pardon me, the religion of so-called Africa. Because there are more Muslims there than there are people belonging to any other religion. Nigeria, Sudan, these are two big populated Muslim nations. Not only that, there are the countries of Morocco, Sierra Leone, even in Kenya, there are more Muslims than Christians. And in many other places in Africa, you find Muslims. You can go to Africa and get the feeling that Africa is the land of Mohammed. Because there are more Muslims there than there are Muslims in Arabia. Why do they keep these things from us? For the same reason that they keep it from you, that I went and met with all the top leaders in the Muslim country, Muslim world. They don't want you to know that an ex-slave, a descendant of slaves in America, who should feel proud and honored that he has the opportunity to eat in a restaurant with white folks, so-called white folks, or have the freedom to run for office or to eat from the same restaurant window and use the same toilet, take the same seats on the bus. We should be so proud of these things that we shouldn't look or think anywhere else. So when a man has mistreated his wife, he doesn't want his wife to see how other men treat their wives. He wants to keep his wife locked up so she won't see how normal men treat their wives. These old spoiled so-called white Americans are the same way. They have mistreated us, and they know that even what we boast of is little. So all of this stuff that you're boasting of is a little bit. You haven't got anything. They have made a big change. They have made a big turn for the better. They're giving us a much better break. And they're speaking to us like we're human beings. But they are not yet repented. If they had truly repented, they would tell you the truth. That's a sign that you have truly repented. You tell the truth. But they want to keep the same old lie in the atmosphere. They want to keep you thinking that this is the best and there's nothing comparable to this anywhere. Might be the best in terms of gross national production, monetary terms and material terms, and in terms of weaponry, it might be the greatest. In fact, I believe it is. But even when we speaking on man to man and woman to woman terms, we can't say it's the greatest even in that respect. Because there are some countries who have more rich people in their population, and the wealth of those people excels what you find here in America. Kuwait, there's no poverty there at all. No such thing as poverty. Sharjah, no such thing as poverty there. If there's any unemployment there, it's somebody from the outside waiting to get hired by those on the inside. But see, the world that we've lived under, they know they've mistreated us terribly. Do you think they're going to tell you these things? They think they're using wisdom, but they're acting stupid. The masses of people are not fools anymore. Time, crowding in on each other, television, and all these things of modern life have made it impossible for people to keep the masses down in ignorance. You don't have to learn how to read to get the benefit of letters. You don't have to pick up a book and read it. Read the TV. You can look at it with your eyes and listen to it with your ears. Knowledge is everywhere, and you don't have to get it from the page anymore. The world has changed. But the leadership is still acting like the world is still back there 20 years ago or 50 years ago. Not the same world anymore. So Master Fard Muhammad told us that our ancestors were Muslims. That's not to say that some of them weren't other than Muslims. But since no one said to you, told you that you had Muslim ancestors, he didn't take the pains to tell you that some of them were witch doctors and maybe a few Christians. Now, wasn't that justice? Since America didn't tell you had Muslim ancestors, what right have he got to mention the witch doctors and a few Christians? All praise is due to Allah. This simple truth that I'm telling you right now is more valuable to you, to this society, to all people in America, than everything you can listen to coming from the mouth of educators and statesmen. The real problem is right here where we are working. Not only the problem for us, but the problem for the whole world. We are working on the problem that is the problem of the whole world. Racial and national hypocrisy. That's what's got all the problems on the back of humanity. If we can kill that racial and national hypocrisy, we can change the life of the world. He called us a nation. Why? Because we weren't accepted in a nation? Didn't have a nation? Oh, in 1930, man, we had the United States. You had what? You didn't have the right to ride on a bus in some places in 1930, unless you took the back seat like you had stink on you or something. Had to go round the side to the window to get your hamburger. Couldn't go to the front door. And even here in Chicago, you hardly could live 4 or 5 months without reading about a lynching. Right here in Chicago. Some wild, crazy-minded Caucasian just went on a rampage, foaming at the mouth like a raven beast. Disfigured, mutilated the brother just because he was in his neighborhood. Many times he was coming from work in his neighborhood, had been doing some old funky job for some of his people. But just because he was in the neighborhood, he was savagely mutilated. This happened just 30, 20 years ago, maybe. Not in Mississippi, in Chicago. Well, man, the people are being killed everywhere. That don't mean that you don't have a country. Not only were you being lynched by citizens, but you didn't have law to protect you from those lynchings. And it was with the pushing and the efforts of the NAACP and the support they got from others that legislation was passed to protect us in this wilderness against savage raiding maniacs. So don't tell me what you had in 1930. You ain't talking to no nigger or to no Negro. I never was a nigger, never was a Negro, never was a colored man. I was born a Muslim. So maybe your senses are warped. We got a job to do.
The job is saving the life of the world. And God has prepared a mighty, triumphant army for that job. And I got to recruit you whether you like it or not. So we didn't have a nation. Africa was not our nation. The Caucasian had so thoroughly worked on our minds over the centuries of slavery that we didn't want to identify with Africa. Marcus Garvey failed as a leader because there wasn't enough support among American blacks for Africa or for identity with Africa. The so-called educated of our kind laughed at Marcus Garvey and laughed him right on out of America. Don't tell me about yourself. I know you, brother. And I know that you were just coming out of the sleep of slavery and Thomism. You ain't free yet. Very few of you that's real men. You hear what I'm saying? There's a very few so-called medallions out there walking the street that are real men. The majority out there are nothing but dumb tools of this society. I meet them every day, trying to prove to white America that they are comparable, pardon me, in their whiteness. I want you to understand what I'm saying. I'm not eloquent, you know, I didn't get no degrees nowhere. So I'm going to say it again. I want you to understand clearly what I'm saying. I meet almost every day so-called educated, dignified, strong and upright men of our communities, of our color, or skin, or hair. I don't know how we can identify this thing. And I listen to their language, watch their behavior. I see people who are just so nervous all the time that they're going to do something or say something or act in some way that's going to make the white establishment, so-called white establishment, think that they're not with it. I'm not with your white, so-called white establishment. And I hope you ain't with it. I hope the white man ain't with it. That's what I'm saying. I'm not with it, and I hope the Caucasian is not with it. Because that establishment is a dying establishment. What I look like going around trying to make people think that I'm with the establishment. Now listen, poor brother and sister. Your definition of establishment might not be mine. I don't mean that I'm after destroying order and government and law in the society, but I'm after destroying the artificial mentality and the artificial humanism that is in this society. And this society has executed its desires and judgments from a position of artificial mentality and artificial humanism. The establishment has been wrong. It has been cruel on the innocent people, not because law is bad, not because the Constitution of America is bad, but because the mentality of these people is bad, bad, bad. Many of them want to demand that we not be Muslims, that we make a choice between citizenship and equality in America, make a choice between Islam and what America has to offer. I'm telling you, this is their mind. Now you can have Islam, but have it in name. We don't want you to have it in deed. Don't have it in principle. Don't have it in reality. I don't mind you niggas wearing a bunch of fezzes and wraparounds and robes and sandals. But don't you niggas get serious about that religion. Now, if that's not the voice of a slave master, tell me what is. Still speaking down to us like we their little adopted children that they had no need for. It was just charity that made them adopt us. Well, you know we didn't need you now, so you better act right or we'll get rid of you. Well, you better stay quiet like you've been for the last few years. Because speaking out won't do nothing but cut you to bits. Time is against this old wicked, hypocritical rule. If the leadership of America had an ounce of social sense, they would be out with me every time I came out of the house. They say, is he coming out? Well, tell him to wait just 5 minutes. We want to put on national TV that he's coming out. Now, why? Why do I say that? Because I'm cleaning up the mess that they don't have the soap, the water, or anything to do it with. And don't know how to do it if you put the soap and water and everything in their hands. They still wouldn't know what to do. And they see what has been done so far is a marvelous and miraculous thing. So why don't they just back it? Don't you know there's no way to have peace in America with Bilalians identifying with the church? Now I know you don't like it, but I'm not here to do and say what you like. I'm here to do and say what's good for you. There's no way to have racial harmony, racial peace, national tranquility with Bilalians belonging to the church and identifying with a Caucasian on a cross. Why is it impossible? Because the source of cruelty, persecution, rejection at the hand of the Caucasian people are too deep. No way to remove them. We can forget them, but the only way we can forget them, we have to see no sign in the society that the Caucasian people still want to be our God and master. And as long as we accept the white Jesus on a cross, there's still a sign in the society that Caucasians accept, that we accept them as our God and our master, and I'm not going for it. So, Imam, we thought you said Christianity was beautiful when you understand it. Well, I'm trying to take out the bad understanding. And a Caucasian for a God is a bad, bad understanding in Christianity. Look how small we are in numbers. Look how crazy we were in our beliefs. You can't find a Klanman that was more fanatical than we were. But look how intelligently we have acted without the degrees, without the cultural background. Look how intelligent we have acted. We have put down our black God and have told the world God has no skin color. God's color is righteousness and truth. Now, if they're not able to follow us and put down their racist God on that cross, God is going to wipe this country right off the map. The very thing that they have used to build up their superiority over the other people of the world is the very thing that is destroying their hopes for a brighter future. The idea of God in the image of Caucasian people was a political plot, a political scheme, a political strategy. Europe was growing in power, and they had conceived a great plan to take over the world by using Aryanism, that old ancient Indian white supremacy doctrine, digging it up, bringing it back into the life of their people as a driving force for conquest. The old deceitful, hypocritical, lying Jew who rejected Jesus saw an opportunity to feed this kind of racism in the West and brought them a Christianity that was designed to support white supremacy. But the foolish West didn't know that those old crooked Jews were also bringing them a doctrine that would work as a slow time bomb and would in time destroy the West. The wise old Jew knew that in time the West itself would be destroyed by the very thing that they had handed them as a mighty tool for conquest. And look at the society now. Look how the Christians are frustrated. They're in a dilemma. Don't know where to go. Don't know whether to back up, go forward, go left, go right, go down or up. They don't know where to go. At a standstill. Ideologically at a standstill. Philosophically at a standstill. Morally at a standstill. Intellectually at a standstill. And politically at a standstill. You can almost sense and feel and see static, the staleness. In the rule of this so-called Western society. Look, a president who, I'm telling you, the way that these people was clamoring for him, sounded like Jesus was about to go to the throne. He'd been in office just 2 or 3 days, and already the people just saying, "Oh, it's nothing but another fizzle." Isn't that the attitude? That's the attitude. Oh, don't hope for nothing. It's just another fizzle. Excuse my language. I have more hope in President Carter, more faith in his leadership, more faith in America, more faith in America's future and America's leadership than the government of America has. Why? Because I know their problem. I know how come they can't walk like they should. They got on bad shoes. All praise due to Allah. Look, we have made drastic changes over here. And I've heard your rumbling, disgust, mumbling, but I don't waste time with it. Oh, I can't follow that now. They letting devils in there. Now this is somebody calling them devil that didn't even call them devil before. They were calling them white folks, you know. But as soon as the chief Imam opened the doors and said Caucasians can come in, a lot of people that didn't even call white folks devils, oh, I can't back them anymore. I can't support them anymore. They letting devils in. And they know white folks are devils too. How can they do that? I heard one sister cry. I broke down and cried. Oh, I can't take it. We had hopes in that. You didn't have hopes in that. Unless it was the hope of keeping yourself hid. It was a good blanket for niggers to hide under. Let me repeat. That teaching about the white man being an artificial creation, grafted by Yakub, and all so-called white people being devils, was the biggest excuse that was ever given to niggers so they don't have to do anything but sit around and blame the white man for their shortcomings. Look, don't tell me, I know you. Walking around with your problem book, your 40 questions to answer. Walking around with your 14 questions. Yeah, brother. Do you know the black man is God? Say, brother, look, I won't get paid until Friday. Can you give me $1? Hey, black sister, don't you know you the goddess? Say, sister, look, long as the moms don't know what's happening, don't nothing happen, sister. pad. It ain't much, but I turned the lights out and down real low, you know, and I got black lamp in there. So come on over, sister. The God, brother, the God. Yes, sir, Mr. Rosenberg. Yes, sir. I forgot it, but I'll get it in just 10 minutes. You just wait right here, Mr. Rosenberg. That's that black God. Let me tell you, the biggest Uncle Tom niggers that you could find anywhere on the earth was right here in this mob. Now, I'm not saying all were like that, but the greatest majority were nothing but what the communists call paper tigers. Got the outside, but ain't nothing on the inside. Every week almost, some black brother was getting his head bust in by one of these black guards. Some sister was being abused by one of these black guards. Black guards were bringing in stolen money, money from bank robbery, money from dope. And the Council of Scientists they were too ticket and too sissified in all their blackness to stand up in the mosque and say, you niggas ain't representing this blackness. So they stood around and hid, jump in line. When the bad black guard niggas told them to stand up, they stood up. I'm talking about the holy priest class among the black guards, with all their Yakub teaching and everything. 66 trillion and 72 trillion years of history in about 5 pages. Walking around here and didn't have the parents, didn't have the guts to stand up to a bunch of sissified hoodlums. They didn't know that those other black guards that were carrying pistols and threatening them, they were nothing but a bunch of sissies too. Anybody that don't have his self-audit right up here and have lost what belongs here is a sissy. And it don't take nothing but one man to put the sissies in order. Man, they changed the whole thing. They destroyed everything Elijah Muhammad did. All praise is due to Allah. What he did was just excite you. To get emotional enough to call yourself black. What he did was to excite you, to make you emotional enough to call a white man a devil. To leave the church and walk in a new uniform. That's all he did. Thought you said he was a master. That's a master. That is a master. Anytime a man got enough psychological understanding to feed you with emotionalism and get you to lead the things that you wouldn't lead under the feeding of all the greatest wisdom. Black educators, black religious leaders, they all tried to turn you around and let you see that you were walking against yourself. But none of them could do it. Elijah Muhammad did it with emotionalism. With a reverse psychology, he reversed the Christian racism of America and gave it to you in reverse, and it excited you just like it excited the Ku Klux Klan. Hold up. Their Christian racism excites them to be militant, to be daring, to burn crosses. But as soon as 2 or 3 black men stand up against 20 or 30, those sisters with those crosses and hoods, he healed. Why? Because that's a lie. That's an artificial, what you call it when you hype somebody up with something? An artificial injection, you know. So as soon as you meet with cold reality, I don't care how high you are, you come down. And I've seen some awful high black guards telling you, man, they get so black, you look at their face and you can't see it. Face look like a shadow. I ain't joking. I'm giving you a poetic description of a recruit, man. I've seen brothers who got so wrapped up, so deep into thinking that they were God and black was their power. And I don't know what the brother did, but he found some way to make a little brown he had in his black go away. He gets so black they don't even look black no more. Look empty, like nothing is there. Like you can stick your hand through his face. He has translated himself clean out of reality. Look like you hit him, a bunch of dust will just fall out. Yeah. Black God. Didn't know that he was using the poison of Satan or the devil himself. Believing that blackness is your strength and your superiority was picking up, just the belief in that was the same as picking up the gun of your enemy and taking it and blowing your own brains out. That's exactly what it was. Don't you know the real builders, the planners and builders of racism, of white supremacy? Don't you know that they were happy, they were most gratified when they heard the talk of black people thinking that blackness is God? You heard white people saying they are racist and they are race haters and they shouldn't do that, but you never heard no real segregationists coming out saying anything about it. They liked it. You say that, well, they liked it because it served their purpose of separating the races. Well, you just ain't got enough sense to see a little bit further. They liked it also because it stopped you. America was forced to open up. But if all of you turned black and identify your human being, your human self with blackness, they knew that'd be the end. You ain't got no right to go in a door if you don't recognize the door. They were happy for that. Bunch of black people come into that. The job is done without us raising a finger. We don't have to worry about them now. We're sharing our knowledge with them, or sharing our wealth with them. We can deny them, and the whole world will support us. But God didn't intend that it happen that way. So Lord Elijah Muhammad saw that the time was out for his kind of leadership. So before his death, he told you, stop going around here thinking that you're better than other people just because you're black. Then don't think that you can live around here without living in America. Said, go in, mix in, get in business with this. Run for government office. Isn't that what he told you? And in his last speech, he pointed to Caucasians on his stand, on his platform, and said, these are holy men. And told his people that if the Caucasian, or he said white man, I hate to use the term white, because it's a term for white supremacy. He said, you have to respect the Caucasian, the white man. If he can respect you, then you must respect him. If he can treat you decently, then you must treat him decently. Now, that's a far-reaching statement coming from that man. That means if a white man can accept me as his brother, I have to accept him as my brother. You may say, well, I can treat him decently without accepting him as my brother. There's no way to treat him decently if he accepts you as his brother and you don't accept him as your brother. There's no way to treat him decently. If the Honorable Elijah Muhammad say if they can respect you, you respect them. If they can treat you decently, you treat them decently. Saying that puts you on the spot. And if any white man would ask you to be his brother, and you say, no, you're a devil, I don't want to be your brother, he could say, well, you disobeying your leader. Because your leader said, if I can be decent to you, you should be decent to me. If I can respect you, you should respect me. Is that being decent and respectful to call me a devil? He could tell you that. And what excuse would you have? You say, well, you just didn't understand all Elijah Muhammad. Well, you followed a liar. You followed a double-talking hypocrite. If the man didn't mean what he said, he was a liar. If he was doing double talk, he was talking with the tongue of the devil. Well, yes, we've made big changes, and we're going to keep making big changes as long as there's room for big changes to be made. You don't call them devils anymore. I guess you love all white folks. You just like old Martin Luther King. I wish you were just like Martin Luther King. You would be a lot more better off than you are, even though he's dead. He's physically dead. Your attitude makes you spiritually, morally, and mentally dead. And that's worse than just being physically dead. No, I'm the better of you both. I'm not preaching to anybody to go out and start hugging and kissing Caucasians. I wasn't prompted to come out here and tell you that you were supposed to accept all people as human beings by no desire to have you make romantic love with white folks. That's a silly, childish aspiration. I didn't even, that kind of foolishness never came to my mind. We don't need any sexual romance or necking or kissing or hugging or sweet talking or flattering each other. We don't need that. We need a sober, quiet, strong, dignified relationship with Caucasians. What I mean by that? We shouldn't get emotional in this drive that we have to destroy racism in America. We should be intelligent. We should do the job like technicians. Technician don't get all sentimental when he's doing his job. I can shake the Caucasian's hand. I can embrace him as a brother. I can walk with him. I can sit with him. I can pray with him. I can live with him in the same hotel, in the same room, same bedroom. But I don't have to sweet talk him. And he don't have to sweet talk me. In fact, when one starts sweet talking me, I get suspicious of it. Because it's not necessary. It's not necessary. No, I have to say, I always did love black folks. That ain't necessary. God bless you. Keep your damn mouth shut. And I don't have to make no unnatural gestures to prove that I accept Caucasians. Have you seen me treating Caucasians in the audience any different than I treat you? I don't make no extra attempt to show them that I'm really serious, brother Caucasian, I really mean. I mean it when I say that you are my brother. But let a so-called Negro, Christian, make the same turn. And after each meeting, he'll have to hug and kiss every Caucasian in his audience. Brothers and sisters, Jesus Lord. And you know, we've been preaching racism and black supremacy. But Jesus has touched my heart. Come up here, my good white brother. Oh, I love you, brother. Sisters and brothers, walk hand in hand. Grab a white brother and grab a white sister. Walk hand in hand out the congregation with them. We'll together, all praises due to Jesus. See, I know the mind of the crazy people that this so-called white man's world have created. I know your crazy mind. You got to overdo everything. See, I wasn't born like you. I was born a Muslim. I never knew what it meant to think with an artificial brain. I knew what it meant to have some abnormalities. in my brain, but I've never known what it meant to have an artificial brain. So I was just wrestling with the abnormalities. And when I overcome them, I was ready. Lost found nation of Islam in the wilderness of North America. Now we are the world community of Islam in the West. We can make that change. We don't have to carry around a pretense anymore. See, the old title, nation, was a pretense. Wasn't no nation. Was an outcast people who had isolated themselves and put themselves twice the distance away from the vital operations of the nation we call America by isolating themselves. A people that was used by the society. You know what I'm saying? The society used the lost foundation of Islam. Used us to check other Bilali people. Every time it looked like the Bilalians were going to rush in and get what they want, they would feed the atmosphere with the kinds of things to make the leadership of the Nation of Islam start out again. So we would force them to back up. Played us one against the other. And didn't care what we did in our own private circles, because they knew what we did in our own private circles wouldn't amount to very much. The kinds of activity, the kind of things we were talking about just had so far to go. How far can you go with a black empire that's the size of an anthill under the Appalachians or under Mount Everest? But don't you know we were so souped up that we actually thought that we were just as bad as the United States? Yeah. Now, we weren't the only ones who were just that high on the black vodka or black wine. The Black Panthers got that high too. But when they saw all those reels, they weren't no visions, man. They went over there and they touched those cold tanks. Those big old, what they call them, M1s or something, big old rifles, guns that shoot across town. When they went out there and saw that stuff wasn't no vision, man. They lost that high just like that. The captains and lieutenants looking around and where are men? Them niggas done put back on their crosses. I bought them some American flag hats or shirts or something. It's pitiful. It's really pitiful. Now they blaming me. He's lost the empire. They going out of business. Elijah gone, everything going down the drain. You don't know that Elijah left just before the drain was open. The sink was full and the stopper was ready to be pulled. And Elijah just left just in time to get away from seeing everything go down the drain. Problem had got so bad that it wasn't no way to go but downhill. And anybody that was watching the leadership of our Elijah Muhammad for the last 2, 3, or 5 years of his life know that it was going downhill. Crime had come into the community. We were being embarrassed by criminal activity in our community. Men had to go out and stick up banks to get money to pay bills, to pay off mortgage notes, pay off bank notes, to pay taxes. Men of our community had to go out and stick up banks, had to sell dope to keep a minister sitting on a false throne with some diamonds on his hand and mink and chinchilla. Had made superfly cities out of black Muslims. Look here. You niggas better not tell me anything. I'll come out there and stump you in your face. Look here. Hold up. Hold up. Around here meeting in secrecy with your crazy lessons that you don't understand a bit. Talking about the chief doing things wrong, destroying the great nation of Islam, giving us over to the devil. You were the devil when I took you. I came just in time to exercise you. If I had come a little later, I'm telling you, if I had come just a year later, I think the devil would have taken you over completely. I couldn't have drove out those devil demons from your soul. They say now, oh, they just lost their morals, everything. Disco parties, drinking, women committing adultery and fornication, brothers doing everything. This is the cleanest house that you have seen in the last 10 or 20 years. I'm talking what I know. People right around my father, peace be on him, was using dope, scheming and planning how to rob each other. I'm not talking about you who never shook hands with my father. I'm talking about people who were raised under my father, using dope, prostituting the women, lying, conniving, and doing the same thing that they had accused the Caucasians of doing against us. They were doing those things against themselves. Right here in Chicago, there were sisters wearing long dresses and were out trying to get men to buy their bodies. There were sisters right here in Chicago with long dresses on, trying to be professional prostitutes. All right, I tried to be quiet. I didn't bring it out no more than you forced me to bring it out. And believe me, I haven't brought half of it out yet. If the whole truth was told, you would either walk away, and if you were sincere, you would walk away and you'd go crazy, or you would come up here and you tell me, man, you got anything that I got, I'm yours for the rest of my life. All praises go on. And believe me, I don't want you to give yourself to me. If If I wanted you to give yourself to me, I would have kept the same thing going that was going when I came into office. If I had done that, you with all your black emblems and your black supreme wisdom would be saying, thank Allah for the honorable Prophet W.D. Muhammad. In fact, you'd make me a god if I just cater to your ignorance. But I'm not going to cater to your ignorance. I'm going to do for you what you don't have the strength to do for yourself. I'm going to love you, brother and sister. God has made my heart to love you. And I don't care how you act, I'm going to love you. And loving you don't mean helping you go down the drain or over a cliff. Loving you means saving your life, saving your mind, and saving your heart. That's what loving you means. We got Caucasians in the membership, and even if I die today, I'll be killed today. You will never change this membership. It ain't enough power on earth to change. It's going to stay as Allah has blessed me to make it. And I don't have to be physically here. Because actually it wasn't my doing. You think I had the knowledge and the power to do what has been done? Almighty God has caused things to happen. He has favored what we were doing. And because of His favors, we have been successful. In the Quran, Moses is grumbling people when they detected that Moses actually wasn't leading them to a material kingdom, but was leading them to a righteous kingdom, they started grumbling. Look here, we didn't leave Egypt to come out here in no wilderness where there's no gold and roast pork and prime ribs and fine diamond-decked chariots, silks and whatnot. We didn't come out here, Moses, for you to make no dirt starvers out of us. Where's that city you said you were leading us to? They didn't see nothing but wilderness, you know. They had left Egypt. They didn't see those huge monuments, statues, and great palaces anymore. They were out there in the bare, open world. And they got dissatisfied. Hey, look, this man is leading us to starvation. And we thought he was leading us to another Egypt. Holy Quran says that God revealed to Moses, and Moses spoke to them and told them, said, the things that you want are such as garlic, pot greens, and onions, etc. Go to any city and find those things. Isn't that beautiful? That's the same thing I tell you. If what you followed the late leader for was to have some money, Cadillac car, Rolls-Royce, the Mercedes-Benz, chinchilla and mink, diamonds, superfly heels and hats. Go to any ghetto and get your thing. You don't have to stay here and have me make you uncomfortable with this holy teaching. Take your foreign matter out of here and go where you have citizenship in any old ghetto. But if you want to restore yourself to the order of civilized society on racial equality with other races, stay here with us. If you want to break the grave ground of slavish mentality, of self-hatred and self-inferiority, don't go back to the black God's lesson. Keep following me. If you want intellectual and moral excellence, stay right here. If you want to become the moral and spiritual leaders of the world and get yourself in a position like that of Joseph, where all things can come unto you, stay here. You're in the right place. But remember, Joseph didn't get those things without some trial. Joseph was stolen and kidnapped, put in the ground in a well, and then sold to another people, to a strange people. Then put in jail in that strange land. But in jail, he proved his worth. And the government say, bring that man out of jail. We want to make him part of the leadership. You are almost at that point. I'm not talking about Mr. Andrew Young. I think that's his name. I'm talking about you who follow me. He just got him a Ralph Bunch job. I'm talking about a real position of dignity and respect, equality and worth in the American leadership. You're almost there if you follow me. But you know, some people that don't deserve the great blessing that God has prepared for them, when they get real close, they fail. And that's the justice of God. Because they've been pulled along. They weren't walking along. They were pulled along. Those that truly believe, they walk along. But those that's just there for selfish things, every time a test comes, they pull back on you. Did you hear what he said about Master Farrar? What do you think about that? Oh, weak chicken nigger. Excuse my language. excuse my language. When I say nigger, I mean the dummy monster. That false knowledge and false information created, along with physical pressure and oppression. It made a dummy monster that shouldn't be classified with men nor beasts. And that's what I mean when I say nigger. Old chicken nigger ain't got enough nerve to say, look, I don't accept his leadership. He's wrong. They won't come out like that. Did you ever... Look, I like what he said last month, man. Brother, did you hear what he said about Master Farrar? Who in the hell is Master Farrar? That's right, who's Master Farrar? If he's God, he better hurry up and show up. It's going to take him a long time now to get his throne back together. He won't have no place to sit. God has given me an army of termites, and I set them right on his throne. And they just about to eat away the last piece of the leg. And he ain't got no throne to sit on. Master Farrar. Well, I'm going to follow him as long as he don't talk against Master Farrar. If Master Farrar was wrong, I'm going to talk against him. For his right, he stands. For his wrong, he must fall. And I told you when you accepted me. I didn't fool you. I told you that you can't have no white gods or no foreign gods over you. And that included straight-haired, Caucasian-featured Master Farrar. Didn't do a lot of good. Certainly he did a lot of good. And there are a whole lot of Christians out there that'll tell you and prove it. Jesus has done a lot of good in their lives. But it still doesn't change the fact that Jesus is a Caucasian-looking God in their lives. And whatever Master Farrar has done of good in our lives, it still doesn't change the fact that he took one white image off of us and put another one on us. Now, I'm going to let you in on a little secret. I know Master Farrar better than I know my own brothers and sisters, because I have had enough more personal contact with him and more mixing into his mind than I've had with my own flesh and blood brothers and sisters. And I know that if he was here right now, he would be sitting back there clapping and bearing me witness. Why? Because he knew he did a wrong thing. That's why he'll never show his face until I make it possible for him to come out in safety. to do that, I have to tell the truth, no matter who it be against. Master Farad used us as explosives, as cannon fodder, to do the damage he wanted to do against Christian America. Now, when you use a people as explosives, you take as explosives, as cannon fodder, to do the damage he wanted to do against Christian America. Now, when you use a people as explosives, you take the risk of destroying them. And look how many of the black gods that have gone and can't be brought back, that was fired out of the cannons of Yaqub's teaching. They're gone and can never come back. They are destroyed. They are destroyed mentally. They are destroyed intellectually. They are destroyed as brothers and sisters. They can't even be brothers and sisters to each other. And the only one that has a possible chance of bringing those people out of their grave that's deeper than any Christian grave any of our people ever were put into is to come through me. Do you hear that? Don't you know that a man that'll tell you to eat one meal a day, tell you to make your little babies also eat one meal a day, tell you not to go to movies, don't listen to radios, don't buy nothing fine, don't store up your money. Now, if he had said, pool your money or store up your money and save this to get yourself in position to have some strength, it would have been great. He said, do this and just wait for the mothership. It's coming and take you away. Now, if that wasn't a Christian church, Sunday school message given to make you satisfied in what you were put into, tell me what is. Look here, you should be thankful that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had enough sense to see that Master Farad wanted to make us cannon fodder. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, I ain't gonna be no cannon fodder. I'll make somebody else cannon fodder, but I'm gonna pull the trigger myself. Honorable Elijah Muhammad saw what was happening. And he changed Master Farad's teaching. He made Master Farad God. Master Farad didn't make himself God alone. Master Farad hid it like he was God. What Master Farad suggested was that he was the chief or the supreme among men. And that all men that weren't Caucasian were God. That was his teaching. And he had designed it in such a way that no individual could take it over from him. Why? Because everybody was God. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad saw what was happening, and he made Farad Muhammad God alone, and made himself the messenger of that God, and put himself on the throne. thank Allah for that Georgia boy. He knew what to do, and he did it on time. When he did it, you know what happened? Almost 90% of Master Farah's followers turned against him. Only a very few close people stuck with him. They didn't mind him being minister, first minister like Master Farah called him. They didn't mind him being first minister, or supreme minister. But when he said that Master Farah is like Christ, Jesus, and I'm his apostle, no, they didn't want to hear that. They said, so they told him? I'm going to tell you what they told him. And I might have a few Uncle Toms in here from the first resurrection who got a strong enough spine now after these injections I've been giving them to bear witness to me that I'm telling you the truth. Because there's some right here that know what I'm telling you, I'm getting ready to tell you is the truth. They told him, who are you? Elijah. They didn't call him Elijah Muhammad. Elijah. You ain't nothing but the minister. Kalat got much authority as you got. Kalat was a captain. He was a supreme captain. See, all of us are God. You don't tell us. We know what the master taught. They didn't only argue with him, they chased him out of Detroit. And that's how come the headquarters is in Chicago. It's because Master Farah's followers chased Elijah Muhammad out of Detroit. Why did they chase him out of Detroit? Because he said that Master Farah was God in the person, the Almighty. In a sense that they weren't God. And they wouldn't accept that because that was not what they were taught. Elijah Muhammad didn't care. He knew he had the power of circumstances on his side. Not the power of God. He had the power of circumstances on his side. The government looked down on Elijah and said, ooh, this is a sweet thing developed. Elijah has saved the day for us. We don't have to worry about this army of black gods anymore. Elijah is telling them that Farah Muhammad is their God, and he look as white as our Jesus, by God. Hey, look, we're going to have to make a show like we don't want them here. We're going to have to lock them up. Didn't have to lock most of you up who were locked up. Most of you weren't fit for the draft. You had been fasting too long. And put you in the army on the front line. They could have sent a bunch of switching sissies with no rifles and they would have beat you. Bunch of half-starved brothers and sisters, if they were asked to climb up Mount Fuji, they'd drop dead before they got 1/3 of the way. Yeah. Weak physically. From fasting and eating nothing but bean soup. Burnt rice. I'm giving you facts. It sounds like, it sounds like a foolishness. It sounds like a story, you know. Sounds like I'm up here just making jokes. These are cold facts I'm giving you. 4 brothers went to jail. A lot of them got easy jobs. Man thought he couldn't hardly walk. Knees wobbling. But they were great. Even though they were that blind, that dumb to what was actually happening to them and how they were being used, they were great. Where was their greatness? In their sincerity. They were sincere. Those brothers and sisters back there in the 30s and the 40s and the 50s were sincere. They believed strongly. And God won't punish you if you're sincere. God blessed them and kept them here, protected them, and made it possible for them to live with that knowledge and feel like they were in heaven. Because they were sincere. They actually believed, we actually believed, that Master Farad was the God. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was the only voice of God on the land, or in the land. And that when he spoke, anybody else said was not to be heard if it differed with what he said. We believed 100%. And for that reason, Allah blessed us. But what good was it now for you to come into that kind of teaching and be used by Master Farad as cannon fodder to weaken the American society, the American Christian society, and to be again tricked by Master Elijah Muhammad to come in a church teaching with black on it as a label. That's what it was. It was a black church. Jesus was replaced with Master Farad. Cross was replaced with the crescent. And the apostles of Christ were replaced with our Elijah Muhammad. And your life after death was also just as spooky as theirs. You didn't believe that you'd come back physically, but you believed that some mysterious force was going to make a shortage in the gravity. And America was just going to start bursting in flames. And just before the house started burning up, a ship with about 1,500 garage doors around it. We used to draw it on the board. And World War I bombing planes. We used to draw the bombing planes on the board. They were World War I bombing planes. World War I bomb. That plane was going to come over here just in time and light down and pick you up and take all us away and leave America here burning. All the white folks, every one of them, babies and all. Those that's in the womb and ain't come out yet, they gonna get it, they gonna burn too. Those who tried to live good and righteous, they gonna burn too. Those who tried to help and love black folks, they gonna burn too. I'm telling you, all of us believe. Maybe some of them in Europe will be spared for a while, but in time, the mighty plague would get them and take them down. As we were told. All right. And the mothership come down here, and there'd be scientists standing on different corners. Let me talk to you a little bit. pointing your finger at me saying I'm doing you wrong and tearing up something Elijah Muhammad did, and I'm the best savior you ever had and ever will get. Be a scientist standing on each corner, and if you said Assalamu alaikum, he'll tell you where to go to get on the mothership. But if you didn't know the greetings, you were in trouble. Now, isn't that something? There were a whole lot of no good hypocrites and people who never joined us who could give the greetings. But just before that happened, there'd be a warning, you know. The ship's gonna come and drop leaflets. Look, I see they still, some of them out there remember. I didn't know that many of you knew this. Ship's gonna come and drop leaflets, and the leaflet's gonna be written in Arabic, English, and Spanish. Poor Indian didn't have a chance. Unless he learned English, Arabic, or Spanish. The leaflet will say, get on to your own time. In, what was it? How many days? Yeah, 8 to 10 days. That's all the time you have. After that now, next warning you get will be a siren. And that siren will be so powerful that if the leaflets didn't frighten you and make you want to join, that siren would certainly frighten you. A horrible, thrilling siren. I realized Muhammad, he was a master, you know. I remember one time marketing. High pitch. And it'll be so loud, don't care how far you're in the ground, you hear it. All right. Shatter windows of the house. Say then the next thing you'll see is a scientist walking down the street. Say, you'll recognize him. Because they have on their fez. And they'll be walking like this. And one will be standing at the corner with his feet on the square like this. You come by, you better know how to do this. And they're going to ask you now a few questions before you get on board. Have you followed and obeyed my apostle Elijah Muhammad? See the same thing? What did the Caucasians say to you? They said that we're going to be asked, have you been a good servant? Is that right? I'm telling you what they used to teach in our community. Black preachers used to tell us that when you die, your soul is going to be taken. And you're going to be asked, were you a good servant? Not just to Jesus, but did you obey your master? I'm telling you what black folks preach in America. And many of them, especially the big ones, when they have a big occasion, like a convention or something, They will remind all their people. Pray for America. Thank God for the great white man. I'm telling you what black folks used to say. Thank God for the great white man. And this land, this beautiful land, God's blessed land of democracy. Join me now in prayer, congregation, sisters and brothers. And let us pray for the United States of America. And that God forever bless this flag. That's what your preachers used to preach in my lifetime. Master Rod and Master Elijah Muhammad, they saw where the power was, and they duplicated that thing. And just reversed everything. Instead of you being subhuman and a monkey or something, made the Caucasian the monkey and subhuman. Instead of you being the children of the black Satan, and believe me, right now in Christian theology, Satan is called the black angel. Elijah Muhammad, Master Rod Elijah Muhammad, made them the white Satan and you the black God. Just reversed it, just turned it around on it. I hear him telling me, well, you must admit, I said it before you. You didn't call Master Elijah Muhammad Master. I called him Master. But they tell me, challenging me indirectly. Well, you have to admit he was a master. I can't say he was a master. I told you he was a master. You must admit that he had supreme knowledge. I told you he did. But now that mean I'm supposed to bow down to him? No, indeed. I don't care how wise he was. All of his wisdom, I found it. And he didn't take me by the hand and lead me to the way to it. With God in my heart and faith and righteousness and truth and sin, I got on the track like a hound dog, man, and I sniffed it and found it out in all of its hidden places. And not a single knowledge that he had was his invention. All of it, he got it from other sources. I can identify every bit of it to you in other sources. Buddhism, Hinduism, Jainism, Judaism, Christianity, materialism. That's where he got all his doctrine, from those different things. And he put into the image and form of Christianity. Christ and Savior. His father was God, right? Master Farah's father was God. Yeah. And he was born of earthly sinful flesh. His mother wasn't a holy woman, wasn't black. She was Caucasian. So he was born of unholy flesh. Just like the book says that the Christian interpretation of the book says that Jesus was born of Mary, earthly flesh. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, yes, now she was a Caucasian, but you can't call her a devil because she was never contaminated. Isn't that the same story of Mary? Yes, she was earthly. She was an earthly human being. She was flesh, but she was never contaminated. But I ain't going to waste my time with you. I said more than enough for you to see and follow me with not an ounce of doubt in your mind. Or what about his mathematics? Go to some library or some school and get a book on mathematics from that year, during that time. Get the almanac, Farmer's Almanac, for that time. Get Who is Who. What they call it? Facts. Book of facts. From that time. I guarantee you'll come up with all of it. That you don't get from those books, go to the newspapers and search the newspapers from those times. And I guarantee you will find articles that will give you the rest of it. The only thing you won't get is his secret symbolism, his secret mythology. God gave that to me. If you want that, come to me. Believe it or not, I unlocked his lessons without any help from anybody but God and his lessons. Studying his lessons, studying the Bible, studying the Holy Quran, and God directing me. I didn't go to the Bible by myself. No. But in searching the Holy Quran and reading, I saw that the disagreement between what he was saying and what the Holy Quran was saying. And finally, I got the idea that the Bible, he's talking more in the Bible language than he is in the Holy Quran's language. So I went and got the Bible. I began to read the Bible, and I began to see that the Bible was talking in foreign language. I could see in what the Bible was saying, story pictures, storytelling. So I went, God got it. I don't want you to get spooky. My mind just told me, go see so and so and so. I went to see so and so and so. It was a friend of mine. But in going there, I was a little ahead of time. See, and I'm a civilized man. I ain't like you all. I don't come any time of the night to your door. Come without calling and all that kind of food. It was all right when we didn't have telephones. You can let somebody know you're coming now. You don't know whether I got my hand in the toilet or here's something else. Here you rang the doorbell and expecting me to open it up right now and shake your hand. Well, when we were down south, we didn't have to call nobody up. You didn't have no telephones, man. So I went to this city, and I said, well, I can't go right to his home. It's too early. I'll walk around the heart of town. So I walked around the heart of town. And it was just like something was carrying me. Something was just carrying me with his hands like this. Moving me like this. Sounds spooky, but that's exactly the way it was. So I'm walking and giving in to it. Because one thing I know, that if I give myself to God, God ain't going to let nothing harm. I knew that what was happening to me was the will of God, because ain't nobody else come into my life like that and move me from within with hands that I feel like they hands, but they ain't physical. All right, so I just walked. And I walked. The people looked at me strange because it was the kind of store, I guess, that they don't see us coming into. It was a store on rare books in the field of, not theology. No, not metaphysics, pardon me. Language. Religious, they didn't call it symbolism, but just the different kinds of religious language. They had different books in there, the different kinds of religious language. And it was a kind of Christian denominational store. And what they were doing is studying the language of Christian theology, but it wasn't a theological bookstore. They had different books, a lot of books, and a lot on language. So I went there and just followed the move, following the push, and I reached up and I saw the book that I knew I wanted. And I picked that book down, told the man I want this book, paid for it, and walked out of there. And when I began to read it, that book started my mind to think in the direction in which I had to go. I went then right away, and I got me books on all the mythologies that I could find. I got books on Oriental mythology, Greek mythology, Indian mythology, Japanese, all that mythology, Egyptian mythology. I got them. I knew what I was looking for. I'm a slow reader, but I didn't have to read. I knew what I was looking for. I didn't have to read everything. I just did this to the thing. As soon as I saw something that I knew fitted in with what I had in my mind, I stopped and made a note. And I thumbed through several of them, at least a half a dozen books on the mythologies of the world. After I did that, I went back again to the Bible, and I searched it again, and I made notes. I put my notes in code, so in case somebody found them, they wouldn't be taken off the track, they wouldn't be put on the track. I made my notes, and I just let it rest. I said, well, I see what we got here. All right. From that point on, the doors were just opening up one behind another. The doors of understanding was opening up one behind another. And I know you are doubting people. But if the Pope was here, I'd tell the Pope that if you want to get some more lessons, here's the teacher for you. Some of you think you know something. Since I've been talking, occasionally they come up and give me some old weird book. You know, like it is to say, and I accept it because I never know when God's going to send me something else. By a route like this, you know. So I accept it. But when I thumb through them, I find if there's 100 pages, I find maybe one page that I can use. And the rest of it, I've already got it. That's right. In fact, the books that I've been reading on the different, they don't open up no new areas. There's only a few things you have to get. And once you get those things, you got the key. You might not know the exact language that this man put it into, but as soon as you see his language, you know exactly what he says. Because you've gotten the keys, the fundamental keys. That's all you need. This world has been put under a false knowledge. Knowledge was made for people that they thought they discovered. I'm going to tell you plainly what I mean. You know all the so-called paganism and idolatry you read of? Those people didn't discover all that. It was invented for them. by people that didn't believe in it. They loaded it with destructive germs. So when they read it, it will capture their mind and direct their movement and fix it so they can just go away and just rest for another 100 or 200, 500 years and know that that people ain't going nowhere but where they put them. Oh, I can't believe that men have been so wise to sit down and conspire against the whole world and come up with a mastermind plan like that. You don't believe it? Well, keep on not believing it. It ain't gonna change nothing. I don't need you to believe it. I'm just telling you what has been done. People have been given idolatry, religion, that they think their fathers came naturally up into. Their fathers didn't come naturally up into it. It was designed for them. And people, messengers from these conspirators, went into their society and saw what they were believing in, and then began suggesting things into their primitive natural beliefs. Follow me now. The people had primitive natural beliefs, and what these conspirators did was come into their society and suggest things to them and made them think that they were developing their primitive religion, their primitive idolatry. When they weren't developing it, their idolatry was being supplanted. Their religion was being supplanted. So that in time, the conspirators would have the mind of that society and would be able to talk in time just where they would go. 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now. They went all over the world doing that. The same conspirators gave the world the Christianity that we have now. They can fight Christianity. Believe it or not, I'm telling you what I know to be a fact. And they would kill me for it if Allah didn't prevent it. But they hope that you won't believe it. And they hope that I will fail to convert many people to this new religion. Not a new religion, or in the sense of a different religion. New religion in the sense of the pure, corrected religion. They're hoping that I won't be successful. That a little small following will come about, and the man will die of old age and heart trouble. And pretty soon the people will forget him. That's what they hope. But the wise among them know better than that. They say the man talking to a few with his own breath, but the echo is speaking and reaching the ears of many. And whether the people like it or not, their minds are being forced to come into new growth by the divine power of that little man's truth. And the wise won't come out and challenge me. They know it's too late. They are hoping that I will be merciful and not tell it all and leave them some way out. I'm doing my best. The supplanter means a lot more than you think it means. The book says there's two people in the womb, and one was the supplanter. He came out and he supplanted his brother. He didn't stop supplanting there. He went all over the world and supplanted not an individual. He supplanted the knowledge of society. What do we mean by supplant? We don't mean trip up like you've heard. It means to trip up. That gives you some idea. It means to put your germ under his plant. So that your germ come up into his plant from beneath, out of sight. And his plant, though it looks like his, will be your plant because your germ. That's what supplant means. And those crooked, satanic devils who conspiracies against the world, they have supplanted the mind of the world by supplanting the reality of the law of the world. If you knew how valuable this teaching was, you would sit here until tomorrow this time if you had to. What I'm telling you is the key and the salvation for the Caucasian people as well as all other people. If they wake up and trust what I'm saying, and just follow it. Everybody is not as dumb as you are in theology and religion and mythology and philosophy. There are many of them who are wise in these things. If they will just follow what I'm saying, test what I'm saying, come to me and question me on what I'm saying, I'm sure that pretty soon they'll see and they'll bear witness that our world is not ours and hasn't been. Hitler rose up. He didn't have his own world. He thought he had his own world. He went and dug up something out of the ancient history of the Hittites. And don't know the Jacobite had planted it there in the Hittites. So he was using the ancient form or the ancient knowledge of his ancient forefathers, he thought, the Hittites. But the Jacobite had already, long time ago, dug up under the land and put that down, see, and that under it, and that grew up into that plant. And is hidden behind the skin of that plant. You can't make it. You'll just keep going around in circles. The only way to get out of that circle of no going nowhere is to follow this new leadership. Now, dear beloved people, brothers and sisters, I'm going to leave you with these thoughts. On Christ. Christ as a person is no more than the leader among a spiritual group of people who was preaching against the leadership of Jerusalem, preaching against Jewish leadership in those days, condemning it for hypocrisy, condemning it for ruling on the throne and with the rod of Satan. That's what Jesus did. He challenged the Jewish leadership and condemned them for sitting on the throne of Satan and ruling with the rod of Satan. He saw that the world had been supplanted. When he said that this world is not my world, he didn't mean what you thought or what the church thinks. He meant just what I'm telling you now, that the mind is not your mind. The knowledge is not your knowledge. Your thoughts are not your thoughts. You can't even think your thoughts because you've already been programmed and clocked. Jesus brought that great truth, and he knew that it was too early. Paul said he was a man born out of due season. He knew he was too early. He said, as long as I'm in the world, I'm the light of the world. Meaning that when I go out, when I die, this world is going to be dark again because it ain't nobody living that sees what I see. And these dumb people I'm talking to just don't have enough intelligence to understand the fullness of what I'm trying to say. Then he keep trying to say it over and over again. Look how he used parable behind parable. Look how he hid and suggested and spoke in so many different veins to try to get the people to see what he was saying. But they couldn't see it. What you see in the New Testament is just the coating of the pill that Jesus brought into the world. The heart of it is taken out. The powerful truth that he gave is taken out. Not taken out as you would take some the meat of the nut out of the shell. What I mean by taken out, it has been changed so thoroughly that it's not the same anymore. That's what I mean. So when you read it, you don't get the knowledge that Jesus was given. But even in that translation and in those words of the New Testament, you can see that the man is trying to drive home a secret truth. But you can't get it. Said, Satan, this world is Satan's world. That's what he said. And we thought that it meant that because of the sin, Satan was on the throne. No. The sins wouldn't be so great if Satan was not on the throne. Adultery, fornication, lying, in the language that you take it, is not the language that Jesus meant. When he spoke of lies, he meant changing the nature of people's minds. Changing their grasp, the nature of their grasp of reality. So that they make it impossible for them to grasp reality as it is. He meant lying against divine order. Lying against divine order means corrupting divine nature so that people can't even behave as God naturally intended for them to behave. When he spoke of adultery, he didn't mean the adultery between a man and his wife. And the proof of that, he played down the sins of the physical prostitute. Why? Because there was a greater prostitution. There was a greater adultery that had been committed. Not the mixing of minds that didn't have a license, bodies that didn't have a license to mix, but the mixings of minds that got no license, no authority from God, no authority from his natural law to bring a word in it that is false and put that on the image that is true and bring about a growth of the two together until the false, a grafted knowledge and mind completely overcome the natural. That's adultery. That's why it's so terrible that you commit adultery. Do you think a God is up in heaven that speaks down because you went with my life and say, I'm going to destroy the world of the adulterous people? You don't have to worry about you. I'm going to kill you pretty soon. But that's Satan, who sees in nature, who grew intelligent enough to see in nature the working plan of God, then sit down and think up a way to reorder God's nature and present it in a reverse pattern. Tell the people just the reverse of what God told them through nature. And give them just the reverse picture of what God showed you through nature. Misdirect you. Nature, God has made it in nature for you to go east to see the sun. He changed your nature and make you think you're supposed to go west to see a sunrise. And you see a sunset and call it a sunrise. Now I'm just giving you an example of the kind of things that have happened to this world. The bringing together of the germ, the grafted germ of lies designed to disrupt and change the natural order of the world is the germ of the man, our season, that is adulterated with the natural mind. The book says he poured the wine of fornication into the holy vessel. Is that right? The wine of fornication into the sacred vessel. And we think this is just talking about some mixed up teachings or something. It's more than that, brother. It's more than mixed up teachings. It's dynamite, explosive, destructive teachings. No man ever grew up on the earth, and nature made him see his flesh as sinful. That's an unnatural thought among us. That's part of this plan of the devil. Not a spooky devil. Men with flesh and blood that conspired against truth and nature to bring to bring the natural world of men and women under their feet. So tell your flesh is sinful. Your first father was sinful. You were born in sin. That to have sex relations is a sin. And at the same time tell you that God made you to mate each other. And call it holy wedlock. But leaving you with the burden on your conscience that flesh is sin. For every Christian having a natural relation with his wife, if he think on God and the Bible, he feel nasty. Can you imagine the psychological and social consequences, the things that have happened in the minds of people, in the mind of society, just from this one lie? The psychologist would be surprised to see just how much social disorder has come from that one lie. How many sissies, homosexuals, lesbians, fetishes, etc. have been created by that one lie. You'll find men doing things just for experimentation, but they won't stay there. It won't become an epidemic. But with that lie of Satan, all those things that were meant to be natural, normal diseases became epidemics. And where his religion is the strongest, that's where you find the greatest epidemics. Epidemics of erotic sex, epidemics of racism, epidemics of suicidal, self-destructive tendencies. I could go on, name them until the sun go down. Don't think this condition is a curse of God. Yeah, you told these times was coming. The people who set the thing in motion to bring on these times told you these times were coming. God didn't do no crazy maniac thing against you. It was the conspirator. Your world ain't out of order because God is punishing you. Your world is out of order because some crooked men got your world and tampered with it and changed it. Changed even the very nature of it. Believe it or not. If you accept the new language, the simple thing that we begin saying, if you just start with that, their works will start disintegrating. And that is, don't think of yourself as female flesh people and male flesh people. Human beings are not naturally made to think of themselves like that. Human beings are naturally made to think of themselves as inner beings, inward power. And they use the body for whatever good it can do, as service or as something that renders a service. Primitive man knows that his physical body is nothing but a dress. He'll take it and he'll put marks on it. Right? Because he knows nothing but clothing. He'll put some colors on it. Put some different colors on it. He knows nothing but clothing. And if you can find a society that hasn't been tampered with so much by the Jacobites, you'll find a society that don't have these terrible problems that we have. I bet you go among them and you'll find them as beautiful or more beautiful than the rabbit or the hermit or pigeon or deer. Do we hate those creatures? No. All of us love those creatures. They're beautiful, loving creatures. All right. If you could find a society that hasn't been tampered with, you'll find human beings living better than animals. Human beings don't turn animals by themselves. It's a lie that turned them into animals. Not an ordinary lie, a lie against natural truth, a lie against nature, make animals out of people. Well, as far as we can go back, man, there have been wild, crazy tribes, killing each other, primitive men. And as far as you can go back, the Jacobites have been surpassing the knowledge and the thinking of those societies. There was just a very few that they weren't able to get. Like the Egyptians, they never thoroughly got the Egyptians. And that's why Egypt is so important in the Bible. Because that was a place they couldn't get, they had to get out of it. Oh man, I don't believe the Jews are that powerful. I'm not talking about the Jews that you know. Talking about the Jews that you don't know and will never know, because they ain't gonna show themselves to you. In fact, they might not even call themselves Jews now. They might be under another name. But I know they're still around because I see their movement. And a few of them still around. I don't think they're nothing like as strong as their old father was. I think they've lost a lot of their knowledge and power. But they're still around. We got a big job to do. And you ought to get serious. Do justice to the thing that we have to do. Don't act silly and take this lightly. We don't have to do anything but just believe. And then bring your brothers and sisters into this understanding. Don't go out and tell them that there's a Jewish conspiracy to take over the world. The world has been taken over for thousands of years. They accomplished that thousands of years ago. But tell them that the world has been made artificially. The way your mind has been oriented. The way your mind has been oriented is artificial. You can be given a true path to follow, but with your mind ordered as it's ordered, you won't be able to follow it. Don't you know God didn't make life as hard as it is? Life ain't supposed to be this hard. If you would accept the plain truth that I give you, life would become easy for you. It won't be hard for you to live a Muslim life. It'll be easy for you to live a Muslim life. It's hard for you to live a Muslim life because your mind has been ordered against your own nature. I'll hold you all night, so I have to let you go. The so-called communist world, it didn't create itself. It was created by others. So-called democracy, we call the West the democracy, didn't create itself. Those founding fathers didn't create democracy. They picked up convenient tools that was carefully placed so they would find them. And they had already been directed and conditioned to go that way. Oh, I don't believe that. That's easy to say. Can you prove that, mister? Yes. I can prove it if you had the sense to follow me. Now, I don't know whether you got the sense to follow me or not. But if you got the sense to follow me, I can take the Bible and show you in the Bible that communism and freedom, what we call freedom, was in the past. It was made. This ain't no freedom we got. That's how come it's so hard to realize democracy that we dreamed of. The thing is impossible to realize. We dream of a democracy where everybody is equal. It's impossible. It's against nature. We dream of a democracy where there is the autonomy of the individual, where the individual has his rights, and where there is a freedom of speech to say whatever you want to say. It's impossible. That's why now you don't have that much freedom of speech. The press is not as free as it used to be. Am I right or wrong? They saw the hell that it was bringing about. They saw that the country was about to go into self-destruction. So they had to start cutting back on the freedom. They had a plan. Give you an artificial concept of freedom and let you follow the course to death. What is death? Communism, materialism, atheism, Russia used to believe in Christianity. China used to believe in who? Confucius. And Confucius was supplanted by the Jacobites. Believe it or not. Believe it or not. Do you think religion is beautiful as those Eastern religions are? You can read in those religions are beautiful things. But look how cruel and ugly their leaders became. Don't you know that somebody fed a strange poison into the vein of those people's teachers? Same thing happened to Jesus' message. All of the world's teachings have been supplanted. And the Bible tells you there will come a famine of hearing the word. And the people will go here. They know, I don't have it. They'll go there. Say, I can't. Everything would be destroyed. The book tells you all knowledge would be destroyed. And it says that in the final destruction, poison will be thrown out into the water on the land. Land will be made poison. Then the water will be made poison. And the air will be made poison. And lastly, the sun will be put out. If the land is destroyed, the water is destroyed, not destroyed, away, poison. The air is poisoned, the sun is put out. What is it telling you? Telling you this, that material knowledge is going to become poison. Water stands for human knowledge, or moral knowledge, is going to become poison. The air stands for spiritual life, it's going to become poison. The sun stands for rational knowledge, it's going to be put out. These things. They anything. Assalamu alaikum. May God bless you. All praises due to Allah. Brothers and sisters, please do not leave. We have a couple of very important announcements from the Chief Imam. There will be a couple of more very important messages from the Chief Imam. Please do not leave right now. Please stand and stretch your legs, but don't leave there right now. Praise is due to Allah. The Chief burns more and more every time. I'm telling you, praise be to Allah. We are certainly blessed to have this man with us today. Stretch and sort of shake it out and fall back in. Okay, brothers and sisters, you take your seats back. We'll have you out in just a very few minutes. We want to get these very important messages. Around the country, please remain seated. We have very important messages from the Chief Imam. How many people are visiting with us today for the first time? First and second time visitors. Let us see your hands. Let's see your hands. Visitors for the first and second time. Okay, we want to ask those of you who are visiting with us today who heard something that sounds like it's true to you, we want to ask you to please use the white card that was given you to indicate that you would like to be a follower of the Honorable Muhammad and a part of his great march of truth. It's a great march, it's a powerful march, and if you want to join that march, we want you to sign that card, and that's your card of freedom. That's your card of signing up to say, I want to learn what the Honorable Muhammad is teaching. So if you didn't receive a card, just hold your hands. Brothers and sisters, please sit down. We know you're tired, but we have to finish up very quickly. If you please, just take your seat. And the brothers and sisters who would like to receive cards, just raise your hand. And here's the brothers down here. And the brothers and sisters will bring you one of the cards. Please see that they get the cards. Here's brothers down front. And there are sisters back there, I think, who want to receive the cards. If you fill out these cards, you'll become immediately a follower, a member of the Honorable Muhammad's army of truth. And that's the kind of army it is. Here's the brother right here will give you some of these cards. Brothers and sisters, we want to, at this time, let the Secretary of the Department please pass the bucket. Please understand that we need to support the work of the Honorable Muhammad and support the work of the world community of Islam. Okay, because I need you. Let's do this very quickly, brothers and sisters, so that we can get you out, because there are two very important announcements that is necessary to be heard all around the country. There are some special messages that are going to be coming from the Honorable Muhammad, and